Good compañeros, estamos en Genshin Impact. Hoy es el segundo día, ¿vale? Pues la segunda fase del evento del festival Irodori, ¿vale? Vamos a pasar de día, hay que esperar hasta el día siguiente a las 8. No, aquí está. Ahí está. Se supone que hoy viene Chinchu, ¿vale? También han desbloqueado ya la nueva... Bueno, el nuevo... ¿Cómo se llama? El nuevo minijuego, ¿vale? Eso. Pero no creo que me deje jugar aún. A ver, un momento. No, a ver, es que me aparecía un NPC, ¿vale? Con un... Bueno, con lo que es ahora, ¿vale? Pero no me deja... O sea, no me aparece aquí. Así que bueno. Continúa, a ver, perdón, Paimon. Sí, eso, no tenemos que decirle que han robado los libros y se supone que vamos a encontrar pistas nuevas cada día, ¿no? Ese rollo de que por algún motivo vamos a encontrar una notita nueva con un poema y tal, ¿no? A ver el puerto. No hay ningún barco, así que bueno, aparecerá ahora de pronto, me imagino. Ay, parece una guía de verdad y todo. O algo, ¿no? Este es el... Sí, es el que siempre está buscando a Chinchu.
The inventor of Theater Mechanicus previously came to the Feiyun Commerce Guild seeking investment. Although the guild manager was not interested, the master still wanted to support them. We heard that they'd be demonstrating the game and letting people try Theater Mechanicus at the Irodori festival. So the guild manager instructed Master and I to take the opportunity to come to Inazuma.
Vale, pero ¿dónde está el máster? ¿Dónde está el joven amo? Paimon, no me copies.
Master, he's
Se marean en los barcos o algo. Ah, están dormidos. Ah. Hola.
It's the traveler in Paimon. I presume you are guests in Inazuma as well? It seems fate has destined our paths to cross once again.
No exactamente invitados. ¿Te encuentras bien? Pareces muy cansado.
Please, no need to worry. I was a little too caught up in a novel on the voyage here. When I finally realized what time it was, the first rays of dawn were already peeking over the horizon.
Me pasa. Es que estoy reventado también.
The Conjo Commission will likely wish to inspect our invitation letter. Let's keep it in hand, shall we?
Venga. Ha perdido la invitación.
That's odd.
¿Pasa algo?
There was a piece of paper underneath my bag. Strange. I don't recall seeing it there before.
Otro poemita. A ver, otro poemita. El esplendor de los 5 Kasen, Aoi no Okina. El esplendor de mi juventud, el esplendor de mi juventud, la decadencia de mi senectud. Forzaron mi mano, mi vida amenazaron. Elijo unos viejos poemas olvidados, versos que escondo entre mis brazos. No hallo razón a esta acción. Culpo al villano de malvado corazón. Un poema dedicado a Akahito, a quien con todo mi pesar se le declaró proscrito. Dice que hemos forzado, o sea, lo hemos forzado a robar los libros de alguna forma. Mi vida amenazaron, algo así, sí, bueno, no sé. Forzaron mi mano, mi vida amenazaron. Vale, no lo entiendo, la verdad. Paimon, no digas más, anda. No digas más. Con la cara. A ver, colega. Parece un minijuego muy interesante ese.
Wait a moment.
Eso es un...
You mean that?
Esa la historia no solo... No, 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 no. A ver, es un minijuego bastante curioso. A ver, está guay. Yo participaría en eso. A ver, excepto por la parte de que no quiero ser un Kassen de esos, pero bueno, está bien, ¿no? O sea, no, nos descubrieron. Esto no se la cree nadie.
It's hard coming up with stuff on the spot like that.
De ahí, bueno, eso lo puedo
Chance of
comprar.
meeting Calx in person?
Yeah. You could say that.
Es un fanboy.
Really? That's wonderful. I knew that Calx would attend the Irodori festival, but convincing my father to let me come to Inazuma was proving to be quite the high hurdle. I had to really rack my mind to come up with the excuse of evaluating the investment value of Theater Mechanicus. Just a few days later, word then came that Calx would be busy painting portraits of the five Kassen during the festival. It is
Vale.
the most rare opportunity for both Calx and I to be in Inazuma together, but it seemed he would be too busy with the portraits to meet with me. So, I felt quite disappointed for some time now.
Va a estar en modo fanboy cuando hable con Albedo. Espero. Me gustaría verlo.
Right now. Also, we heard that Calx did illustrations for your A Legend of Sword novel.
No deberíamos mencionar el libro ahora mismo, la verdad.
To be honest, my works have drawn little interest in Niue. However, the novels are selling quite well in Inazuma with the help of Calx's beautiful illustrations. Calx is not only a skilled artist, but he also carries out his craft with great alacrity. I heard that it took him merely a few hours to finish the illustrations for the latest chapter. But when I looked at the art, the brushwork did not even look the slightest bit rushed. His work is truly exquisite.
Sí que funciona bien eso de tener inspiración, ¿eh? Joder.
Let us depart.
Venga, está súper emocionado ahora. Venga.
Luckily, the idea of meeting Albedo managed to draw Shincho's attention and keep the situation under wraps.
Sí, tú di todo eso en voz alta a 1 metro suya. Seguro que no pasa nada. Vale, el resto de las flores. Azules, concretamente. El resto de las flores azules. Vale, como de lejos está cerquita. Vamos para allá. No dicen nada. Es que a veces se ponen a hablar mientras vas caminando y tal. Y me preocupa un poco, ¿vale? Pero bueno, no parece que estén diciendo nada, ¿no? Hola, buenas. Está aquí. Está pensando con mucha fuerza.
Traveler, Paimon, how are you? And who is this accomplice?
Te vas a cagar. Este es tu jefe.
Great pleasure to finally meet you. I am the author of A Legend of Sword, forgive me. It's rude of me to introduce myself by my pen name when meeting in person. Please, call me Xingqiu.
And you may call me Albedo then.
Oh.
No, that would be most
Pues no
important.
acabo de decir que sería
Why not?
inapropiado decir que
Seeing as we're both friends of the traveler,
usa su
it'd
nombre
be more
ficticio.
convenient for us to use our real names.
Joder, la doble moral, ¿no?
We've already corresponded with each other many times before. In fact, I feel a bit self-conscious seeing you act so politely.
Le hace colteo del mundo.
Not just you, Albedo. We haven't seen Shincho act this awkward before either.
Ver para creer. Así nosotros también aprenderemos fórmulas de cortesía. Ver para creer.
You guys, it's certainly not good taste for you two to be teasing me like
No, 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 es de muy buen gusto, te lo
By the
prometo.
way, we happen to find a
Sé de lo que hablo.
tournament competition at the docks. I heard that you are collecting them.
Poem hunt?
You know, that thing where we have to find pieces of paper with stories of the five Kassen? Venti found one, and then he was allowed to be a model for one of your portraits.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Sí que piensa rápido luego, ¿no?
Understand the story now. Thank you. It's very helpful.
Splendid. Though, I'm still piecing together the story myself. Would you kindly explain it to me in more detail?
If all of you are free, why don't we discuss this over a meal?
Va a pensar la historia mientras van a comer.
About that.
Do you have other plans, Shincho?
No, not at all.
A ver, me imagino que querrá echarse una siestecita, ¿no?
It's quite delicious. Would you like to go there?
Shimura's. Unfortunately, today is a bit windy. How about Uyu Restaurant instead?
That's perfectly fine with me. But I must first unpack my luggage. Let's meet later at Uyu Restaurant.
Hace un poco de viento.
Something didn't quite add up just now.
Huh? No way! Paimon thinks we acted well together. Oh, did we say something we weren't supposed to?
No, Paimon, I'm not referring to us. Traveler, what are your thoughts?
Creo que Chinchu es un poco sus. Creo que es un poco sospechoso, sí. A ver. No. Aparte de lo del. De lo del restaurante, que es como que lo conoce. Así en general. O sea, conoce el nombre del restaurante, lo cual es raro. No. O sea, parece que quería hacer otra cosa antes. Que yo, en mi primera instancia, puedo pensar que quiere echarse una siestecita y no comer ahora porque está reventado, ¿vale? Yo lo entiendo ahora mismo. Ahora mismo empatizo mucho con Chinchu porque me acabo de levantar, ¿vale? Pero no sé, se ve que es otra cosa.
Shincho's suspicious. Hey, what are you two talking about?
Sus.
Paimon, you read the poem, right? Although it may seem confusing to Xingqiu on its own, what if we read it together with a previous poem we found?
Read them together? Let's see. Suiko lost Aoi no Okina's poem in a drunken stupor. So, Aoi no Okina recovered the poem and gave it to some mysterious person. Huh? Wait a minute. Could today's story be hinting that the one who stole the latest copies of a legendary
A ver.
word is Xingqiu himself?
A ver. En la anterior misión salía Chinchu. O sea, por lo menos salía la figura de Chinchu como robando el este. Pero no sé si era una especie de broma o algo así, porque porque no tenía idea de cómo hacerla esta, pero salía el mismo Chinchu. La cosa es que cómo podía haberlo hecho desde aquí, desde tomar por culo. Ahí está, eso.
And that is precisely the point of suspicion. If Xingqiu had only just arrived in Inazuma, how could he recommend Shimura's Chazuke? Moreover, he didn't raise any questions when I suggested another place because of the windy weather. This means he knows that Shimura's is an open-air restaurant.
Hmm.
Are you saying that Xingqiu has already been in Inazuma for some time, and that he's only pretending he just arrived?
Yes, that is indeed my conclusion.
How could Xingqiu be the book thief? His mission is to fight for justice, isn't it?
A ver si es su libro concretamente. Igual le da igual, ¿no? Porque es su libro.
Calm down, Paimon. Even though this is the first time I've met Xingqiu in person, we've communicated via letters for some time now. I do have some understanding of his character. I think there must be some deeper motive at play here. The story also tells us that Aoi no Okina flees with a poem because of a threat.
Oh? Could Xingqiu be in danger?
It's difficult to say at this point. But given that Uyu Restaurant is indoors, it'll be easy for us to detect anyone following or eavesdropping on us. I think it should be safe for us to talk there. I'll be relying on your assistance to get to the bottom of this matter.
Vale, está bien, me parece correcto.
Good. Then let's head to Uyu Restaurant.
Sus. Perdón, me gusta decir la palabra sus, ¿vale? No por nada en concreto. Uy. Aquí. Porque le di a todos los botones menos al que le quiero dar. Eso, le quería dar a la M, ya está. Vamos para allá. No veo muy bien por dónde coger la trama de todo esto, sinceramente. O sea, que yo le veo, o sea, lo veo normal, todo lo que he estado diciendo, pero al mismo tiempo no le veo mucho sentido que la trama sea así. No sé si me estoy explicando bien.
I don't see anyone suspicious around. It seems clear for the moment. Let's go inside and wait for Xingqiu.
Venga.
Oh, this whole thing's starting to make Paimon a little nervous. What do we do? And what do we talk about when Xingqiu gets
Pues no sé.
here?
¿Qué tal el
We
viaje?
must ascertain whether Xingqiu was already in Inazuma or not. If we can find evidence of him deceiving us, then we can use it as leverage to persuade him to tell us the truth. Since we're still waiting for him, why don't you go and chat with other guests in the restaurant and see if you can learn anything useful?
Algo útil. A ver, podemos verificar si han visto ya a este señor por aquí, ¿no? ¿Habéis visto a no sé quién? Ah, puedo hablar con Albedo para indagar. Vale, a ver, Youta.
The last phase of the Irodori festival is when they release the all-new publications. The one I'm really looking forward to is A Legend of Sword.
A ver, si es el propio Chinchu el que lo ha robado, podría ser desde que le han amenazado de verdad, ¿vale? A que siente vergüenza de lo que ha escrito o algo y no quiere que se publique por algún motivo, ¿vale? O sea, a ver, me espero cualquier cosa, sinceramente.
That's right. A signed first edition is going to become quite the collectible. I've got to get my hands on a copy.
I've seen Jen use signature before. His handwriting is super neat. He must be really diligent about his style.
He'll be there in person on the day of the release, so we'll get a good look at him then. I hear that he's actually pretty young.
Wait a minute. Did you just hear that? Not only will Shincho be signing novels at the release, but his handwriting is super neat.
Su letra es súper clara. También era súper clara la letra de los poemas estos, ¿puede ser? A ver.
Hello there. What can I get for you?
No sé. Información.
Hey, do you have any special recommendations today?
Why, of course. I'd personally recommend our freshly caught seafood. It's been pouring these past few days, so the fishing boats haven't been able to sail at all. But the weather finally cleared up today, so we have some fresh catch.
So the weather at sea has been bad these past few days?
It sure has. A few guests from Liyue were just telling me that their boat was heaving and rolling all the way here. They couldn't do anything but sleep the entire trip.
Oh, this might be some useful information.
No paro de dormir. O sea, a ver, si el oleaje está mal, precisamente lo contrario sería verdad, ¿no? O sea, rollo que no podría dormir ni el tate si el barco está a punto de volcarse, por ejemplo. Ahora Albedo.
Albedo, what should we talk about when Shincho gets here? Any ideas?
Perdón.
I will try to break the ice by talking about our work on novels and illustrations. If he really is hiding something, then he might feel even more nervous than we do.
Va a ocultar que está nervioso con lo de... Es que he conocido a Calx.
He will lower his guard.
Oh, come to think of it, Shincho mentioned that he'd like to thank you for finishing the illustrations on time. He said they looked amazing despite the time you had.
Is that so? That is also a very valuable clue.
Porque no debería tener ninguna copia. O sea, rollo, debería poder ver el trabajo terminado aquí.
Delicious. Inazuman cuisine largely consists of fresh seafood, which is certainly to my liking.
That's good. We were worried you might not have an appetite because you didn't sleep well. Now's our chance. Let's talk to Shincho and see if he says anything useful.
Madre mía, como investigadores profesionales aquí, hablando al lado de él. Hablamos del libro que estaba leyendo.
By the way, Shincho, what book were you reading on the way here?
Oh, I was reading a novel called Pretty Please Kitsune Guji, sent to me by my editor.
Suena bastante lewd.
You feel dizzy while reading on the ship?
It was nothing I couldn't handle. Don't forget, I'm proficient in the arts of the Guhua clan. That being said, there were quite a few people aboard who felt seasick.
Well, there doesn't seem to be anything suspicious about what he said so far.
¿Qué tal fue el viaje? ¿Qué te pareció el paisaje? A ver, ¿qué te pareció el paisaje? Mal, ¿no? Se estaría en la cabina leyendo, ¿no? Nada más.
Well, I've never embarked on such a long journey before. Though I was quite excited when we set off, the long days at sea quickly became most monotonous.
Speaking of the journey, did anything noteworthy happen along the way?
Well, to be honest, I spent most of the trip with my nose in a novel.
Well, that didn't tell us much.
Bueno, ¿qué te parece el paisaje? No creo que esto vaya a valer para nada, pero bueno, precisamente por eso va a ser la útil o
To be
algo.
honest, there wasn't much to see. Just water all around, morning to night. The sheer monotony of the trip caused everyone to grow a little impatient. So, when the peak of Mount Yogo finally appeared in the distance as we approached the islands of Inazuma, everyone crowded the deck to have a look. However, the ship sailed along at a crawling pace. It took a whole day from the time we saw the mountain peak to the time we docked.
Paimon didn't catch anything suspicious so far.
Sí que dijo algo sospechoso. Sabía el nombre de la montaña, supongo, que iba a paso de tortuga también, pero no iba especialmente lento. Bueno, ya sabemos que ha venido aquí a la hora, ¿no? O sea, solo ha estado dos días, ¿no? Sí, sería 2 días.
Oh, right! If it took an entire day to reach the docks, then it would have been pouring rain at the time they saw the top of the mountain.
We learned a couple of things from his account, but we still require more evidence. Let's discuss creating novels with Xingqiu.
Por lo menos Albedo sí sabe susurrar, porque Paimon no sabe. ¿Cómo fue la creación de tu novela? Podemos hablar de las ilustraciones de Albedo. ¿Cómo fue la
While it
ilustración?
is entertaining to read novels, writing one is an endeavor of its own. You must give great thought to every detail, from the layout of the plot to the rhythm of the lines. And even when you
Well.
have come up with interesting content, there's still no guarantee that it will be to your liking.
I couldn't agree more. Whether it's writing
No le ha gustado a él, por eso no puede, no puede estar más.
to me, seldom can you really feel joy after seriously delving into the
Oh,
work.
no.
Xingqiu and Albedo are getting into some deep topics now. But nothing suspicious has come up.
Podemos hablar de las ilustraciones de Albedo.
Illustrations. Albedo, I've long wished to express my sincerest gratitude for providing the illustrations in my novel. My novel didn't sell well in Liyue, so I must admit that I had some reservations regarding.
Sí, ahí está. Bueno, tuvo que tener vergüenza de ella.
To select the most important scene of the chapter for your illustrations. This made me feel as though what I was trying to express could be understood after all.
Thank you. However, I took some risks in the illustrations, so I'm feeling slightly uneasy myself.
¿Riesgos? ¿De
My
qué?
novel illustrations are typically centered around the characters, but this time I adopted a different approach in the illustration for the last chapter.
Well, that scene was intended to depict the change in the world, so I thought it very fitting to draw only scenery.
Vale, acaba de...
Doesn't sound like anything suspicious.
No, acaba de decir algo sospechoso, ¿no? No debería saber cuál es...
Alibi. My illustrations were sent for printing the moment they arrived in Inazuma. So, logically speaking, there's no way he could possibly know what the
Ahí,
illustration
justamente, si es que nos lo ha mencionado antes.
Xingqiu, we have something very important to ask you now.
Oh? Why the solemn looks all of a sudden?
Chinchu, coleguilla, ¿por qué mientes?
I'm afraid I don't follow.
Mr. Okazaki told us earlier that actually the weather at sea was very bad these last few days. So when you said that everyone came running to the deck to see Mount Yogo, that couldn't have happened.
On top of that, the latest installment of A Legend of Sword will only be revealed at the Irodori festival. Even we, the creators, haven't received a sample copy. And if that's the case, how could you know what my illustrations look like?
Well,
A ver,
What's up, Xingqiu?
se ha cagado. Se ha cagado. No ha funcionado bien.
Are you in some kind of danger but can't tell us the truth? Don't worry. The Traveler and Albedo are no pushovers. We can
Son unos matones.
no, please. You misunderstand me. I suppose my lack of sleep is inevitably taking its toll on my mind.
Sí, esa es la excusa.
For a moment that you were testing me at all. I did in fact come to Inazuma early to handle some things. Let me consider how to explain this. Oh, this is most embarrassing.
No entiendo muy bien la necesidad de...
Well, if this isn't a coincidence, I didn't expect to see everyone here.
Vino con 20.
Tone deaf bard. What are you doing here?
I heard that the owner of this establishment has some fine-aged wines. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste them.
Está por ahí detrás mirándole el dueño.
Possibly be up to anything good.
Vino con 20.
In fact, I I come as the bearer of good tidings.
A
I
ver,
just
cuenta.
bumped into Kujo Sara a moment ago. She said that the Tenryou Commission has apprehended the criminal who stole all those copies of A Legend of Sword. You needn't worry about it any longer.
Huh? The criminal who stole A Legend of Sword?
¡Sorpresa! ¡Piu!
Did I say something I shouldn't have?
A ver, supongo que ya da igual si ya se encontraba el...
Apprehended. Was it by chance an editor named Onodera?
Apologies, Kujo Sara didn't mention a name. But I saw her taking someone toward Hanamizaka.
El editor, este es el que estaba de vacaciones, ¿no? Sí, Onodera es el que estaba de vacaciones. Vale. Casa del editor. Onodera creo que es el que justo se iba de vacaciones, que estaban todos buscándole y tal. A ver, por ahí. Me encanta que Evento se haya enterado de que lo han detenido cuando están justo en su puerta deteniéndole, pero bueno, sí. Venga. Oh, no. ¿Tú quién eres?
So you must be the author of A Legend of Sword. I didn't expect to see others tagging along with you.
Es que ha confesado algo.
You mustn't take him away. I can explain everything.
No need to worry, Genyu. I've just explained everything to Madame Kujo, and Kuroda has testified for me.
Y eso
In
es.
fact, we were just getting ready to leave.
Oh, phew. What a relief.
Sí, ahora te estás detenido, dice.
Wait a minute. Does everyone else here already know?
Well, to be precise, we had dispatched 2 additional squads here, in order to prevent the suspect from escaping.
Shinjo looks pretty flustered. What exactly is going on here?
Apuesto que tiene algo que ver con su Los ha firmado todos como Chinchu en vez de con su nombre de pluma o como sea.
Though it's most embarrassing, it appears quite a few people are aware of the situation now. There's no use keeping it a secret. In the end, I'm the one responsible for this whole predicament.
No,
A ver.
Genyu. It's only appropriate that I take responsibility for this. Everyone, please let me explain. For the Irodori Festival, I recommended the idea of selling newly released novels signed by the authors. Not only was this the first major project I was in charge of since joining the Yai publishing house, but Lady Yai also gave me a lot of support. However, I did not discuss our plans with the authors in advance. As a result, it caused a great deal of trouble for Genyu.
Yes, to be frank, calligraphy is not my strong point. So signing events are really not my forte.
Ah, pues me parece que es mucho menos interesante.
For Genyu, after telling him how important the plans were to me, he immediately boarded a ship to Inazuma to come up with a solution. So these past few days, Genyu has been actively practicing his handwriting. However, it takes time to sign each book, and we realized the time we reserved for the signing was not nearly enough. So I came up with the idea of moving the new books from the warehouse to my place. That way, Genyu could use these few days to sign them all.
¿Ha estado toda la noche firmando en vez de leyendo? ¿Es eso?
I never expected that someone would immediately realize that the books were missing from the warehouse. To make things worse, I was on vacation and staying with Genyu in my house these past few days. I had no idea that the situation had turned into such a huge mess. All of this happened because I wanted to prove myself through.
Sinceramente todo esto es muy decepcionante. Aún sigo sin entender a qué viene lo de los poemas y tal, sinceramente, pero bueno, yo qué sé. Vale.
Also, I knew that Onodera had been misled by one of my prior signatures. At a previous event, the Yai publishing house had requested autographs of authors so that they could be put on display. I practiced tirelessly for an entire day to finally deliver a stylish and elegant signature for the event. But looking back on it now, I had dug myself into a hole by delivering that nice signature for the sake of my pride.
Hey, come on, you two. Loosen up a little. The theft was nothing more than a simple misunderstanding. Besides,
¿Cómo funciona eso de movilizar a las fuerzas de autoridad públicas para literalmente una subnormalidad?
Onodera, I think you should explain the truth regarding the stolen books to the rest of the people on Rito.
Yes, I understand. I'll apologize to everyone.
We should probably be heading back to Rito as well. Let's tag along.
Bueno, pero en cuanto a los poemas, ¿de verdad nadie va a preguntar nada de los poemas? O sea, a que vienen las pistas estas, porque no tienen nada que ver entonces con todo esto, pero claramente están muy relacionadas con lo que ocurre, así que no sé, no entiendo, en fin, da igual, yo que sé, no lo dirán ahora, yo que sé. Hola, buenas. Muy decepcionante, sinceramente, el plot twist.
What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be on leave these few days?
Prefería antes que fuese porque se había equivocado al firmarlo y ya, pero no, era solo porque estaba practicándolo, o sea, porque iba a tardar mucho, perdón.
If you had told us, we could have thought of some ways to help you.
That's right. We're a team, and we should be helping each other in tough situations like this.
Let's leave the past behind us now. Our first priority is to help Yu with his signatures. How is your progress so far?
My progress is not what I had hoped for. Even after working through the night these
¿Pero
past
cuántas
3
copias
days,
hay?
I've only finished perhaps 1/10 of the signatures.
Oh, no wonder Shincho looked so sleepy today.
I understand. Murata, go back to Yae Publishing House and get Aratani to book a room on the 2nd floor of the Uyu restaurant. We'll be using it for Yu's emergency calligraphy lessons.
Yes, Mr. Hirayama.
Clase de caligrafía urgentes.
My brother is a calligrapher. Should I ask him to lend his assistance as well?
Madre mía, el nepotismo, vamos con el nepotismo.
Ah, you've just reminded me. 2 calligraphers from Liyue arrived today. We've worked with them before, so I'll go and ask them to help out too.
It seems I'm really in for it now.
No need to worry, Yu. I'm sure you can do it. Didn't you finish the last chapter of your novel in just 1 week's time?
Yes, but writing novels and learning calligraphy are 2 entirely different skills.
Even though Shincho still has to deal with his handwriting issue,
A ver, yo lo dejaría con que no todos tengan firma, precisamente. Así la gente va a conseguir copias especiales, ¿no? O algo así, yo sé. Pero gacha también.
I've come to realize that solving problems with others also has its merits.
We also owe a special ode of gratitude to the mysterious person who has been leaving important info for us along the way.
huh? You mean whoever left behind those stories about the 5 Kasen?
Pardon me, but what are you talking about?
Oh, right. We haven't had a chance to explain things to Shincho yet.
A ver, puede ser que la de las historias sea la ninja nueva, pero vamos, que no sé.
Onodera and I were spotted when we were moving the books. Albedo, may I ask you one thing? Are you able to include me in a portrait as well? Not only do I owe the successful resolution of today's incident to that story, but I also hope that I'll remember this lesson.
No problem. Considering the similarities between the portrait and the events that have taken place,
Hay alguien que sabe el futuro o algo aquí, ¿eh? Hay alguien que sabe el futuro. Los guionistas del juego, por ejemplo.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
Albedo really is something. He finished the portrait of Aoi no Okina in no time at all.
En menos de lo que carta un bardo, vale, en fin.
Wonder how Shincho's calligraphy training is going at Uyu Restaurant. Hey, do you think whoever left those stories for us could be hiding somewhere nearby?
Es posible.
Oh, hello? Mr. Storywriter? Are you here? Could you please help Shincho with something?
A ver, solo se me ha ocurrido la idea de que fuese la ninja nueva, ¿vale? Ay, no me sale el nombre ahora, me cago en la leche. Cookie, eso era. Porque la han anunciado hace relativamente poco, ¿vale? No por otra cosa. O sea, podría ser literalmente cualquier persona.
He's a friend of ours, and the release of his new book is super important to him. Oh, what's that sound?
Un gato. A mí no digo una también. Ah, casi.
It was just a cat. Looks like we can't make them reveal themselves that easily. It's getting late now. But let's go back and get some rest. the docks and wait for another ship tomorrow morning.
Se ha visto los pies de alguien. Voy a ir para allá, igual veo a alguien. Ay. Bueno, era mecánica. Todos estos minijuegos los haré por separado más tarde, porque es que todos estos minijuegos por ahora son repetidos. La arena mecánica ya se ha visto 3 veces, creo, ¿vale? O sea, no... no sé. No está por aquí, ¿verdad? No me parece que vayan a poder meter mucha chicha así en general. Vale, tenemos una anécdota nueva, pero bueno, eso lo haré ahora más tarde, ¿vale? La leyenda de los casos está terminado y tenemos aquí... No, claro, necesitaré completar los 1500 puntos para poder llegar a Chinchu. Aún no podemos, ¿eh? Aún no podemos, por lo menos aún no podemos el primero de todos. Bueno, estos dos hay que esperar a que salgan los demás minijuegos y tal, pero no parece que podamos conseguirlo desde el primer día, tenemos que esperar hasta el último. Pero bueno, vamos a sacarlo por aquí, espero que os haya gustado. No me ha parecido especialmente interesante la misión, sinceramente, o sea, ha sido bastante aburrida. La primera tenía ese rollito de plot twist así chulo y tal, pero en esta es que solo han metido un... ¡Uy! Hay alguien ahí detrás. Este es el nuevo retrato, ¿vale? No sé, no. Ha estado bien, supongo, pero ya está. Según la fuente escrita, era un señor de considerable edad, pero bueno, no importa, sí. Allá no le importará. No, a ver, en este juego da igual la edad que tengas, ¿vale? Te pueden dibujar como un niño y ya está, ¿vale? No importa mucho, bueno, en el anime en general, ¿no? Espero que os haya gustado. Ya ven. Eso, de 10% de descuento en... Espero que os haya gustado y dale. Chao.